Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Deaths of the Asia. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Once you get on here, go ahead and hit the like button, share it. If you're watching from YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of the notifications whenever I go live. Tonight we have a very, very good show. So if y'all want to, y'all need to go ahead and go pull y'all a drink or whatever the case may be, because we finna have a really, really good show. Y'all don't want to miss any of this, okay? Tonight I am going to be having a conversation with my mom. And I know that a lot of us, we have questions for our parents. There's things that we have experienced that we want to talk about with our parents. And a lot of people never have that opportunity to do it. One thing about me and my mom is we've always had like these really, really in-depth conversations about life, about so many different things. And she always made me feel comfortable with actually talking to her. And so tonight we want to talk about different things that she has experienced with motherhood and some of the things that I have experienced with being her child, so to speak. So we definitely are going to talk about everything from teenage pregnancy, um, healing childhood traumas, um, dating, and picking the right person to be a stepdad to your children. We're going to be talking about an array of things. So definitely make sure that you go ahead and get you a drink and hold your seat. I'm going to go ahead and bring my mom on. Hey, Mama Bear.
Hey, sweetheart.
How you
How are
doing
you?
today?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome.
Thank you. You're looking very beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Um, like I said, what we're gonna get into, I really thank you for opening up to doing this with me. Because I know that you're not really into, being on camera and all this old kind of stuff. So I definitely appreciate you for, opening up yourself to this platform and allow me to have this moment and have this conversation with you so we could get into some of these topics. Because I think a lot of people will wish that they were able to have these type of conversations with their mother, and they're not able to have their conversations for multiple different reasons. So I really appreciate you for being here tonight. So
Anything for you.
oh, thank you so much, Mama. So anyway, we're gonna jump right into it, okay? So we're gonna jump
All
right
right.
into it. So what I want to start this off at is that moment when you found out that you were pregnant with your first child, which is me. How did you feel when you first got the news that you were actually pregnant?
Well, to be honest with you, my mama told me that I was pregnant. I didn't know that I was pregnant, and I'm glad it happened that way because as much as I loved you, um, I didn't want to disappoint my mom. So it was a struggle at first being pregnant because when she first brought that to me, uh, I told her that it wasn't true. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to deny it by any means necessary to not hurt my mom. That was my biggest thing. And then once I got past that, I fell in love with you. I started reading books to you while you was in my stomach. I started singing to you. I started nurturing you while you was still in the womb. And but that was my biggest thing. And another thing was where we come from. We came from a small town, Arkansas, where the name meant a lot. So coming from that small town, if you made a mistake, it was like that whole entire family made that mistake. So that was a letdown to my mom and her friends. Um, I can remember one of my mom's friends coming to visit, and I was pregnant at the time with you. And the lady looked over at me and she said, I have a gift for you. Although you put the horse, although you put the cart before the horse, I'm still going to give you this gift. Well, just like you have a supportive mom, my mama was very supportive. Although she was let down, she didn't let anybody else know that she was let down. So she really wasn't pleased with that statement that was said to me. And just going to school, because I was 17 when I had you, just finishing school and doing my lessons, still graduating 20% in the 20 percentile of my class. Now, had I not got pregnant, I could have did better than that. But I don't regret anything, and I wouldn't take away anything.
Yes, because I know I'm the best daughter in the world, so of course not. But
I wouldn't say
let
that.
me let me ask you this, right? So, how was it being a teenage mom actually going to school? Not, I know it was difficult, trying to keep up with your lessons and everything, but once you actually had the baby, but how was it walking through the hallways in high school carrying a child? Did you feel any sense of like embarrassment or anything amongst your peers? How did that make you feel?
Well, I'm not the type of person that get embarrassed,
Mm-hmm.
by people. My mom, my dad, my sisters, my brothers, these are the type of people I don't want to let down. Okay, it was certain teachers that I respected, and they had a deep respect for me. Uh, that was more so, not so much of my peers, because although I cared about my peers, I really didn't care enough to care about what they talked about. You get what I'm saying? So
Exactly. And I think that, you know what? I think I get that from you because I'm like one of those people, like I legitimately do not care about what people think for real. I just
I will
really,
give you something to talk about.
yeah, it's like, okay, it's like I hear it, but it's not one of those things where I necessarily internalize it to a point where I let it make me feel some type of way about myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing defines me. Nothing defines me but me. I try to do an internal inventory of my life all the time. Almost every day, I look inside of myself and say, "What could I have did better?" And
Right.
so, any judgment that come upon me, I'm gonna judge myself. I'm my biggest critic, so I'm gonna judge myself, and whatever conclusion that I come with at the end of that judgment, I'm gonna do something about it. It's all about doing the work anyway. And
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm really big on self-reflecting and actually what they say, checking myself. I'm really
right,
big on checking myself, and before I point the finger at somebody else, when things happen, I look to see, what was my part in a particular situation. And I always think of ways to self-improve to become the best version of myself that I possibly can. So
and that's all.
I'm big on
That's
that.
basically all that we can do. You
Hmm.
know, try to make ourselves better each day. And then if we fail, that's okay. It's okay to fail, as long as you don't stay in that failure and you get back up and you just try it again.
Yep, exactly. And I
That's what.
think I think having that attitude, it creates a certain level of confidence and everything, and a certain level of tenacity to go out and do things. And one thing that I really admire about our relationship is the fact that as a kid, you guys, you and my dad, like all of the people around me really have actually encouraged me and empowered me to be my own person and to have a voice. And I will say this to you guys that's out there listening. I have always been what you see. I'm a little bit, I've always been what you see. And I've never had a problem with standing up to authority, right? And here's the beauty of the relationship that I've had with my parents, um, and especially my mom, is because she was my custodial parent, right? So I've never actually had a problem with like challenging my parents respectfully. And what that actually did was it allowed a certain level of growth in my parents as well. With me being and the thing is, they welcomed it. I had to be respectful with certain things, but I still was able to, even as a kid, I always was able to, speak up for myself and have a voice. Like what I felt about things, what I thought about things, it mattered to them. And I think that
I
is
never
very
wanted to
important.
strip you. I never wanted to strip you or take away from your personality, from your talents, and what you had to offer. Um, and by doing that, it helped me to develop as a mom in so many words. Because when you think about it, no child come with instructions. But I was smart enough to know that this little human have a voice. And I wanted to hear what this little human had to say. And I'm glad I did take that route. I'm so glad because it was so many times that as you became a teenager, I was able to learn from you. I can
Hmm.
recall a time when there was, I had first got saved and I had saw a graven image of a statue and that was in front of a person's church. And I remember saying, now look at that graven image. And you was in the back seat. You said, Mom, you have to be respectful of everybody's religion. Just because you know two scriptures in the Bible, that doesn't give you the right to start picking apart somebody else's religion, you know. And I really looked at that. I was the type of mother that would always lead. Always, you was gonna always respect me as a mom. I knew how to put my feet down with love. It didn't take a whole bunch of hooping and hollering to chastise you. Um, but you knew I was mom. And I was always open for feedback. And I was always open because I was always looking to see how your development, uh, what this young human is gonna grow up to be.
Hmm.
So I was always curious the whole time while loving you. I was learning and growing with you as well. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
never
true.
tried to strip you or rob you from anything.
Exactly, that's true because I do remember, as a kid, on how I used to just sit around and read books and all this stuff all the time. So sometimes when I come out the room, I got this wealth of information. The same way like they tell people you need to watch, how they be like, you need to watch what your kids is doing online and all this, yada yada yada. But see, I was the kid that you could drop me off at the library. Like that was fun to me, being dropped off at the library. I actually, Mama, you remember that time when I applied for that job at the library as a volunteer and somebody
Yeah, I
called
took you
up?
up there.
Yeah, you took me up there and somebody called up there and gonna say I was underage because I
Yeah.
used to have to be 12, but I was 11 and I didn't get my job at the library. That's how much I used to be at the library. I knew the Dewey Decimal System and everything. I used to be at that library, baby. And when I come home, I just be in my room reading my books and everything. And I was big
Nothing
on,
impress you. Nothing impress you more than a book.
mm-mm,
And you know, um, I might sound like I shouldn't say this, but I enjoyed the fact that you love books. I mean, you could go anywhere in a book. It's nothing that you couldn't do. And I used to say that, but it's nothing that you couldn't do in a book. But I wanted you to enjoy the real world too. We go on a trip. You didn't want to go. I wanted you to go outside, have some friends, go play outside. You didn't want to be bothered. You wanted to be in your room reading books. And it turned out that that was a good thing. And I appreciated it then. Uh, but I don't know why I was so amazed when all this wealth of knowledge came up out of you by the age of 15. I don't know why I was so amazed. I never once looked back and say, oh, this is what she was reading. You wasn't reading Ball, Ball, Hit the Wall, Hurry Back Before You Fall. You was reading Rich Man, Poor Man. You was reading, what's those?
Message to the Black Man.
Yeah, you was reading books like that as a kid when I should have been reading them too instead of traveling.
Yep, I tell people that I said, y'all, for real, why y'all be talking about y'all woke or whatever the case may be, when Y2K was hitting and all that, and we thought the world was going, I was 11, 12 years old on this stuff. Like, I remember, you remember when we went to the movies and the Y2K movie, and I was like, Mama, the world ain't finna end. I said, that's the Mayan calendar just ended. It's gonna be a new age, the age of the Aquarius. I used to wear my mama out with that because she used to just be looking at me like.
But you know what? I was dumb enough to believe you.
Huh?
I was dumb enough to believe you. But I still wanted to prepare. You know, yeah. I still wanted to prepare. Although you was telling me, Mama, the world is not gonna end, and you was breaking it down to me. And I said, okay, but I'm a single mom with 2 little girls. And I don't know where all this water and all this stuff come from. If the world is gonna end, what you gonna do? Take it to hell or heaven?
Exactly.
But I wanted to make sure that I had my whole closet just full with snacks and everything.
Gingerbread cookies. We had took all the water from Walmart. We just had that story. We was ready. We was ready for Armageddon. You hear me? We was ready. Now, speaking of being a single mother, right?
Yes.
At the time when you were a single mother and you had 2 girls, I have a sister as well. By my mom.
My Pooh Bear.
Yeah, my Poochie Bear. My little sister by my mom, but then I have my brother by my on my dad's side, and then I have some bonus siblings as well. So
yes,
with me and when me and Pooh Bear, we coming up and everything, and you went through some changes or whatever because you were married to Pooh's dad, and then y'all got a divorce, and then you were single for a certain length of time. How was it with you dating and you having kids, and how was that for you, like vetting or trying to find someone who could be someone that you could bring in with your girls? Like, how did you go about?
Well, I didn't try to, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't try to find anyone. I wanted to be by myself with my 2 girls, raising my 2 girls alone, enjoying life. I'm not gonna say I wasn't gonna date, but I didn't want a man over my 2 girls. So my initial plans was to just enjoy my girls. I was living in Memphis, Tennessee at the time, and the hometown that I'm from, Marianna, Arkansas. Hey, I got to shout that out. But anyway, the hometown that I'm from was only like 45 minutes or hour away. So I will always go back to that village that you knew that was your village and my village. And so I was comfortable with that. And then fortunately, I met this man that was brutally honest. I wasn't used to that. A man being honest. He didn't have a whole lot to give. He didn't have a whole lot to bring. But he had honesty. And that was the one thing that I really admired about your stepdad. And the realness, the conversations. I'm moved by intellect. I'm moved by conversation. Good, healthy conversation. And he was a guy that had that good, healthy conversation. But you was a smart girl. You was a smart girl. So you saw him and you looked at him and you saw some things. And my children's what you said mattered. What you
Mm-hmm.
said mattered. What you said could determine whether I was going to be happy for these 20 years that I am happy, or whether I was going to be like a nun. Nothing wrong with being a nun and enjoying my kids, you know. But the honesty, the conversations, and my biggest hiccup was I was afraid that although when I was growing up, I was never touched. I was never touched. My heart goes out to the women or the men that have been touched, but I was never touched by any family, friend, none of that. But I also know that I had two beautiful girls, and although that didn't happen to me, I wanted to protect my kids and not just bring no anybody in over my children's. And
Mm-hmm.
so it took a lot of conversations, not conversations that I was asking, direct conversations. That's where a lot of women make a lot of mistakes. You never ask a lot of direct conversation. You listen. You listen. And it was something that had happened where he was telling me about um, something of one of his friends that and how terrible he felt about it. So that kind of broke the ice and made me feel like, okay, he is a good man, which I knew he was a decent man, but you don't know nobody until you actually live with that person.
Yeah.
So I prepared y'all. And I probably was wrong for this, but I prepared y'all. I never did talk directly, but I wanted to say, I did say to y'all, um, I wanted y'all to know that you could always talk to me about anything. If anyone do anything to you guys inappropriately, I wanted you guys to tell me. And so with the two girls that I had and how smart and you guys were smart as whips, I knew that he would be all right. And so gave it a chance, and it's 20 years later. The thing was, I never did tell you guys to call him dad. I felt like that wasn't right to your real dad, because your real dad, it was like a battle of the love for Deasia, you know. So he was always trying to prove you was his baby. And I was always trying to prove you were my baby, you know. So
Yeah. I tell
I
people
think,
that all the time. I say I'm a very affectionate person. It's because I have my parents are very affectionate. And when, like, if it's something the holidays and we go back home or something like that, and we all in the same space around each other, my mama gonna want to have me under her. My daddy gonna want to have me under him. Like, if you see me with my daddy, it's like I'm a little bitty baby. He gonna have me under
right,
him like I'm a little bitty baby. Then my mama, she affectionate too. And when I was coming up, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't think I ever said this to you, mama.
uh-huh,
But because y'all was like that, I didn't under. I'm very affectionate now, but because y'all was like that, and it was like y'all just what is y'all just smothered me with love and affection until where I
yeah,
used to be like, if my mom and my daddy was still together in the same house, I would go crazy. Like,
you probably would.
I think I'm the only kid was like, I didn't feel no type of way that I didn't have both my parents, because I felt love. You know what I'm saying? Me and my daddy, we got a really good. Me and my daddy, we got like one of the best relationships ever. So I had all the love and all that kind of stuff. And then, we always talked or whatever. My dad was active, so. But I'm gonna tell you, the way that they smothered me with love and affection. If you was around, and you'd be like, I I couldn't deal with this every day. I need a break from my parents. Um. So going
I think if we had still been together, our biggest argument would have been over you.
because my daddy,
Yeah,
yeah, he gonna cut up about me. But going back to you know, dating and and bringing a man in or whatever. I will say this. I remember when you and said your husband now first started dating and everything. I remember it was one of these particular times when I came home. Y'all was on lunch or something because y'all used to work not too far from the job. Y'all was at lunch or something, and he was sitting at the table eating, and I don't know what I was doing. You know, like sometime I've been on skip school or something. I don't know how I end up coming to the house, but the thing was I wasn't supposed to be meeting him just then. And I don't think
Right.
I didn't know that you was at the house either. So really, I ain't
You
have
probably
no.
was skipping school.
Yeah, I think I was. I had left. I wasn't skipping. I had just left early. I just left early, right? So I done left early or whatever. It's
No,
a
I take that back. You was a no, you wasn't a senior.
I
Maybe
was
y'all
only
had an early day out of
15.
school
I was like
because you
14
really
or
wasn't a bad
15.
kid.
Yeah, so I think I had left early or something or whatever. But anyway, I came home. I see this Chevy parked outside or whatever. I go in there. He got his Tommy Hilfiger hoodie on and everything, and he eating a sandwich. I was like, "Why is this nigga eating our lunch meat?" That's what I had said to myself at first, right? And so I was like, who is he? You know how like kids be? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but then I'm like trying to explain, like, hey, mama, because I really don't supposed to be at the house either type of thing, right? And so then eventually I think, he started coming around a little bit more. This is what ended up happening. He had a lot of CDs of music like that I liked or whatever. And I was like, you know what? He probably be all right, because I would be able to listen to his CDs and stuff like that or whatever. But as time went on, and it didn't take long, it was one of those things that I love the fact that his presence was there. He respected us. He respected you. And then also, it was like one of those things where he did not come in trying to play our daddy. He didn't come
Right.
in doing it. He just came in and he was just like cool. Like one of the people I could come to and be like, can I listen to your CD? Can I, it was one of those type of things where I could, hey, can you run me to the store? All that, the stuff that kids do or whatever. He didn't come in trying to discipline us or anything like that. We were already respectful kids or whatever. So that wasn't an issue. But he didn't come in trying to overpower or nothing like that. Because I think too, what a lot of single parents have to understand as well is the kids become territorial.
Right.
The kids become territorial because they're used to this
And
being
you
their
sure did.
space. This
Right.
this like this is my space, and now you have to adjust a little bit with this other person around because you have to accept the fact that your mom is dating and she's doing her thing or whatever the case may be, but for a little while, it feels like this person is infringing on my space. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta really make sure that I like you for you to be here, type of thing. And everything was so effortlessly done because he didn't come in with like trying to discipline us or infringe on our space or nothing like that. Never did anything appropriate, just like you. I've never had anybody to touch me or nothing like that. And my heart goes out to people who have experienced that. That has never happened to me or whatever the case may be. And one thing that, made me fall in love with my bonus dad as well was the fact that he actually treated me like I was his biological child. Like he actually talked to me and gave me game. And it would be like, it wasn't like trying to tell me what to do type of thing, but he would be just, he wants like if I'm doing something, he won't be like, you ought to not do this, you ought to not do that. He'll just put me up on game. Because by that time I was about 14,
Or
15 years
basically just
old.
give you options. A
Exactly.
different way to think of it, a different way to look at it. And but still not taking away from your decision, but hey, giving you some information and letting you know, hey, if you take that route, think about looking at it from this perspective as well. And another
Mm-hmm.
thing that I loved about y'all relationship, and he just made himself available. That's it.
Yeah.
He didn't do nothing but make himself available.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciated that because he knew when I first met him, I said to him, I don't want nobody but me and my babies. So when he first met you guys, he didn't intend to see these big old teenagers.
Big old kids, not these the babies.
These the babies.
And then back then I was still growing. I was still, I had got to that age where I had started doing things that I wasn't supposed to do. I started getting into trouble. And yeah. I can sit here and say that people need to start teaching their kids and accountability, and people need to stop judging parents for what it is that kids get out here and do. Because one thing I'm gonna tell you is some of the stuff that I went out there and did. One thing, my mama ain't never did none of it. I ain't never seen it. You know what I'm saying? It was just that I was young, I was rebellious. We lived in East Memphis, but I'm all running around all out in North Memphis. In the South. I'm in the hood or whatever the case may be. I was wilding, for a minute. I was wilding. And how did that, at that point, I think we did have like breaks in our relationship where, we had hit some rough patches. I
felt like, daughter, I felt like it was time for me to hit the reset button. Okay? Because anytime a child rebels, if you're a good parent, you're going to look at yourself. You're going to first look at yourself. Even if it don't have anything to do with you, you're going to say to yourself, where did I go wrong? Or where's the gap? What is she missing? What do I need to, how do I fix this? So what I did, I said, okay, it's time to hit reset. My biggest mistake and the best thing I ever did and the worst thing that I ever did was when I bought you that car. Because when I bought you that car,
I was terrible.
This was good girl gone bad. And I was that mom. I'm gonna be honest, world. I was that mom that was not my child, not my daughter. I was Mother Bear, and I could stand on it. And for you really can't say what your child will or what your child won't do, no matter how much you try to shelter that child, no matter how much you try to protect that child, no matter how much teaching you give that child, and no matter how much God you try to instill in that child got their own personality. They're going to grow up and they're going to do some things, and they're going to disappoint you sometimes. And when we was at that disappointing moment, I knew that it was time for me to hit reset. Because now I'm married, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want you to feel like I'm putting a man before you. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah. I had to be careful for nothing. I never would have done that. As long as I was raising you guys, you was always my number one. He was always my number one. So it was wherever the need was. If it was a need, you needed something, I'm going to be there. If he needed something, I was going to be there. But it was time for me to hit reset. So I said, okay, I'm going to send you back to Arkansas because you got to leave Memphis.
Hey.
You got to go. I love you. I'll be down there every Saturday when I'm off work. But you going back to the country where there's a village, where there's people around you that's going to keep you
grounded.
Mm-hmm. And give you time to reflect, give you some time to think. And I think that's what I did. Only for 1 year, you went down there and you had that time to reflect. But when you came back that following year, you was a new Deasia. You was a new EP. You was a new person. I told them your nickname.
My nickname.
You was a new person. And baby girl, I just want you to know that I always have been proud of you. You know, I um I didn't like the mistakes, but it made you out to be the woman that you are today. And I wouldn't take nothing away from that, you know. Even with your mistakes and your trials, it didn't do nothing but bring us closer.
Yeah.
And so, that's just life. You have to know how to appreciate the highs and the lows. And so, I wouldn't take anything away from whatever we experienced while you was growing up.
Yeah, and I was really going through those changes, and actually, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I didn't even it wasn't anything in me that I felt like I was rebelling against. To me, it just looked fun. It was just like I'm just having fun, and from somebody who is mature, somebody who knows about life, somebody knows about the dangers of what it is that you're doing, somebody who care about you, and don't want to see certain things happen because they know what's going to happen. It's kind of like a little baby when they just out playing. They don't know the dangers that lie ahead. They just out doing it. It's fun to them. They ain't thinking, they don't have it set in their mind, oh, I'm about to go out and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna be rebellious. It's not like that. It's one of those things where this stuff over here, this look fun. Like, I want to be in the hood, I want to turn up, I want to do all of this stuff. This looks like fun. And
We always want the things that we don't have.
exactly.
I think with most of the parents that tries to give their children a good education, try to put them in the right neighborhoods. It's just some things you cannot keep your children from. And that's why I'm so big on diversity. I'm so big on diversity because of that. Because if a child can see some of those things, they know I don't want that for
Right.
themselves. Versus if they didn't see anything, they green when they first get out there in the world. But
Hmm.
you, on the other hand, you I don't know how you was able to do it. Maybe it was the school that you went to. Because me coming from Arkansas, we didn't have gangsters. We didn't have, if we had them, we didn't know nothing. We didn't associate with them people. you know. Uh, and we didn't have those things that, I'm not saying that you got involved with those kind of people, but it seemed like the bad boys was the type of people that you kind of gravitated to. And
And you know what, Mama? I'm a say this, that, and it might sound crazy. Be
nothing
being
you
that
say sound crazy,
being
daughter.
being that I went to high school in Memphis, and the way Memphis is, it's rough. We lived in a we were trying to live in a what we would call a better part of Memphis, but it
But
ended
it's
up
no
getting
safe
rough.
place in Memphis.
Exactly, it ended up getting rough. But really and truly, for me, being around the outlaws seemed safer to me. It
Yeah, because
seemed
the
safer
guys,
for
one
me.
thing that I can say the difference with those guys back then versus the guys, and I don't want to talk bad about no young children's, okay? Because I kind of dislike when older people put down the younger generation. Uh, Sometimes the older people exaggerate, and sometimes they on target. Um, the little things like you guys with the tight shirt on, the shorts on, and all that kind of stuff. My friends might get upset with me, but guess what? We was the one that started that. Our generation is the one that started that. It was a show out called The Deuce of Hazard, and there was a lady on there named Daisy, and she used to wear the little shorts. And we came out with our little Daisy Dukes on, and then from the Daisy Dukes, we wore our little short mini skirts. From the mini skirts, we did a dance called the butterfly, And then later on, we said, that's old. Let me see your tissue roll. So, I mean, and then here you guys come along and y'all take it one step further. Now we saying, hold up, wait a minute, y'all doing a little too much, you know. But I think with every generation, if that generation, the great head of that generation we can take a moment to learn from each other and to understand each other and to grow from each other and to teach each other in a moment, to help them, teach them by asking a question. I love to teach by asking a question and say, hey, why do you like doing that? How do that make you feel? You know, and you kind of like get an understanding of that person's mindset. You kind of get an understanding of that person's personality when you can ask a question instead of just hammering away. But back to you, you know, those guys in those days, they had respect for the elders. You know, I'm talking your generation. They had respect for the elders. We could tell them guys, get out of my yard. You know, don't be the pathway through my yard. And they'll get on the sidewalk and walk around. You know, they had respect for girls. They start, if they would see another man, a young guy hitting on a girl, they say, hey man, you ain't got to do all that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where we are now and how we got here, but it's a different situation. But I can understand why you say that you somewhat felt protected when you was around that. But yeah. I'm glad all of that changed. I'm glad you see everything. If you can look at it from a positive perspective, everything has substance if you really take time to look at it from that direction, you know, because you have established a lot of friendships with people from all walks of life. And that's beneficial when you can go into the corporate market and have a seat. And also you can go into the hood and have respect. So I think all of that is you know, have its benefits. That's not the road I travel.
Exactly.
But it was beneficial to what you're doing in life, you know. When you got people that's well known, that's you know, reaching out to you, that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And, you know, having those experiences and being around certain people that it has come full circle, because like now,
Right.
especially with what I'm doing now, I still, you know, even though I'm not in, you know,
living that life,
living that,
they still able to reach out to you.
Exactly. So I still have I still get things to come across my desk, so to speak. And so that kind of,
and yeah, you can use those very same guys to make a difference in some of our younger generation, because everyone is teachable. And most of the time, instead of us beating up on our younger children's, if somebody will reach out and put their arms around that young man or that young woman and let that young man or that young woman know that, hey, we care about you, and nurture, you know, that sort of thing. I think all of that will make a difference.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I was one of those kids that I was never impressionable. Like, you could never make me. I've never been impressionable. Like, once I make up my mind, I'm gonna tell you this. There's two things about me. Once I make up my mind that I want to do something, I'm gonna do it. Once I make up my mind that I don't want to do something, I'm not gonna do it. You cannot force me to do anything that I don't want to do. If you keep trying to convince me to do something that I don't want to do, it's gonna make me angry, and you're not gonna like me when I'm angry. So it makes me angry when somebody try to convince me. And then when I was younger, you know, I was one of those people that I didn't mind if a situation became physical, where it didn't bother me for me to protect myself physically. I had no problem with doing it. So I wasn't one of those people that was impressionable, that's running behind people and they could just get me to do whatever. Everything that I did it because I wanted to do it.
Yeah, you made it from your own. You decided you decided it on your own. You made it from your own decision, and that's the one thing I like about you. Even if it gets you in trouble, you gonna tell the truth. Majority of the times. But I'm talking about when you were small, growing up. You would tell you're a truth teller. You're a leader. You was a leader.
Mm-hmm.
The things that I instilled in you, a lot of those things you turned around and reminded me of the same stuff that I instilled in you when I was going out, to the left side. You say, Mama, that's not right, or Mama, so you was never. I want to make something clear. You was my friend,
Mm-hmm.
but you knew I was mom. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you know how they say that you shouldn't be friends with your mom. That is true, but I was a single mom. You knew I was mom. you knew I was mom, but the relationship that we shared and the relationship that we even have now, it's I can you can be feeling down and I won't mess with you. I just leave you alone. I say, you okay? If you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. Because that's a mama intuition. You ain't got to tell me something is wrong. I already know that it's wrong. And I know when to leave, let go, and let you have that room to think things through and to think it out. And so I think that with that, you when you solve it up, when it all comes together, it is a true love and a true friendship and a true mother and daughter relationship.
Yeah, that's true. So let me ask you this, because I know that no kid come out of childhood without any scars. All of us come out of childhood, and we have some scars or childhood trauma that we deal with. And the reason why is because a parent's perspective and a child's perspective is totally different. Like a parent could be doing all of the things that they feel like is absolutely necessary for their child in order to provide them the best life or put them in the best situation or position that they possibly can. And the kid doesn't always see it that way, right?
That's true.
So I can speak on my particular situation. I remember when it was a time where I was just changing. I had to change schools, and with changing schools, that the urgency. I had to change schools because we were moving. Right, so we had to move at a certain point of time. How like anybody, you packing up, you gotta move or whatever. But before I moved, the kids and everybody in the classroom was gonna throw me a popcorn party. And so
Yeah.
because we had to go ahead and leave, I wasn't able to go to school that last day because we had to move. So I never got a chance to go to the popcorn party. I was so sad. I was so upset. I was just distraught that I didn't get to go to that popcorn party, and that actually really did something to me. And then the fact that those were my friends, I had to leave my friends, I had to go to another school and develop new friends. And what parents don't understand, imagine how it feels that when you first go on a new job as an adult, and you first go on a new job and you got all of these new people around you and you got to build these relationships, and how nervous you are. Imagine being a kid and it's thousands or hundreds or how many other kids at this school don't know anybody, and you got to walk through these hallways by yourself as a kid. Like, and you don't know anybody. Like, you already did that once at your one school, but then you got to turn around. You already did that once at your one school, but then you got to turn around and do it again as your new school. That could be traumatizing, right? So then with that, it actually causes a certain level of trauma. And I remember there was a time, and there was other things, we ain't gonna get into all that because they ain't none of these people business. But all at the same time, every kid deals with something. So I know there has been times where we have actually sat down and had conversations of certain things that I experienced as a child where you could say, hey, you know what? Let me explain this to you and why it was the way that it actually was, just to give you a little bit of comfort and a little bit more clarity so you can walk yourself through it. And with that, I will say, you being open to sit down and have those conversations with me, let me put it all out there, even though you might be thinking, oh, I was just trying to do everything right. You know what I'm saying? And how did that hurt you? I was just trying to make the best possible situation for you. How did that hurt you? Um, if you allow me to do that, I actually was able to put myself, because you allow you kind of went back to when you were a kid and how things made you feel so
Right.
you can understand me. It made me put
Yes.
myself in your shoes when I got a certain age. Like, I was like, dang, if I was this age that my mama was when she had these two girls and she was doing it by herself, I probably would have dropped these kids off at the fire department because I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
No, it was too much. It was too much love. It was too
yeah,
much
but I'm
love
saying
for
for
the both of
me,
you
exactly.
to
I was
go to the
like,
fire department.
I probably wouldn't even be able to do that, right? So how was it? How did you initially feel when any one of your kids kind of like approached you with, because I know every parent, especially a mother, want to be the best mother in the world. So how did it make you feel whenever we approached you and said that it was something that happened in our childhood that we had an issue with, when you know during that time you was trying to do the best that you possibly can? How did that make you feel as a mother?
Okay, well, nothing that you or your sister ever brought to me about y'all past that I judged. Okay, I wanted to, first and foremost, I wanted to listen. I wanted to listen and find out how it made you feel. Then I took myself from that situation and really and truly tried to understand what you were saying. So nothing was too great or nothing was too small that I couldn't understand. Even with the popcorn party, people that's listening to you might say, "Oh, no, she did not." Talking about a popcorn party, you know. Uh, but I understood how that could make you feel, you know, and I know I knew that I could not make that up to you. I can't make that time up. I can't make that moment up. I can't make that space up. I cannot ever do that. But what I can do is just assure you that I know how you I understand how you feel. You have a right to feel the way you feel. And nobody should tell you you should feel differently. Okay? That's first and foremost. I never wanted nobody to tell me or and I never wanted to tell you guys how you should feel. You know, so that popcorn party, it hurted you. And then later, after I lost my mom and you was living with your grandma, I realized, hey, I got to go get my baby. That hurted you because that was another school that you was leaving, another classroom of kids that you was leaving. And you made a lot of moves, and sometimes that's just what it is with a young mother that refused to give up. I was a young mother that refused to give up. Trying to balance everything. Work, sometimes working 2 and 3 jobs because I refused to be on welfare. I refuse to take handouts, not knocking nobody that's on welfare. No, I'm not knocking that. But that for me in my life, it just wasn't for me to tell somebody else all of my business to get this little
Right.
bit of money. Do you see what I'm talking about? So, um, so I had to hustle. I had to hustle, whether that means working 2 and 3 jobs, changing jobs. And all the time when you're a single mom, you don't realize how this is affecting your kids, your children. You don't realize how that affects your children's. And then you just say a silent prayer, and hopefully that when they get older, that they will understand. But it's some trauma that no matter how good of a parent that you are, no matter how much, you give of yourself, and no matter how much you say that you understand, it's got to be up to that individual to let that trauma go, But I tried to always stand in support of you guys. I just supported whatever. I never looked at it as a big thing. I never looked at it as a small thing. I did understand. And subconsciously, I probably did added things trying to make up. But I knew that I couldn't make up that time or that space.
Yeah. Indeed. And I'm going to tell you something that I actually appreciate about you. And I wish a lot of mothers, parents, period, get this. You know that a lot of people always are talking about how easy this generation have it, or these kids these days, they don't have to struggle, they don't have to do nothing. Back in my day, we had to struggle, we had to do this, and they always try and make their kids get things the hard way. They don't try to make it easy for their kids, and they be telling, they be wanting them to struggle and everything like they actually did. And I'm gonna tell you something, I don't understand why any parent would just be doing all of this work. I thought putting in this work was so it could be easier for your children, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you something, what I appreciate about you so much and admire so much is because all of the things that you went through and the things that you needed to do as a single parent, sometimes, even when you got married and all this whole kind of stuff, if it was something that you felt like, hey, you know what, even though you see me do this because I had to do this, I probably had to work harder than I think that I should as a woman, and all of this old kinds of stuff or whatever.
I didn't want that for you.
Right. You always told me, I don't want this for you. And you never tried to make me feel like you need to go out here and you need to, hustle and bustle and do this like a man.
Break your back. I never wanted that life for you. Use your mind. You're a smart girl. Use your mind instead of your hands. Our generation, we was real hard workers. And sometimes even now on the job, I still find myself doing things that I don't have to do because it's instilled in me to work. I refuse to stop working. I sleep when I die, type mentality.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, Mama. It's like, you got a lot of parents that'll be like, well, I did it, so you can do it. And it seems like they be just trying to live vicariously through them or whatever the case may be. And the best thing that you can do is knowing how you felt while you were doing a certain thing that you felt like you didn't necessarily have to do. So I feel like it's best that people out there tell their kids, hey, you know what? I had to do this, but I don't want this for you. And not be like, well, I did it, I got through it, you can do it too, type of thing. And a lot of parents do that to their kids. And I think that it brings on a great deal of suffering. And I think it keeps generational curses actually going, because at some point we have to reprogram ourselves and change the way that we actually do things.
That's true. And I think because I didn't, even at a young age, when you guys was very young, I never put that kind of stress or that responsibility on you guys. I said, whatever you do a good job at whatever you do, and make sure you're happy doing it. You went on, both of you guys went on to do things that you didn't have to use your hands. You didn't have to, you bosses. So you your own boss, So I really appreciate that,
Indeed. So, yes, indeed. So I'm not going to be on here too much longer, but I did want to talk about this real quick, because a lot of people experience this, especially the mother and daughters. The mother and daughters, they experience this a lot. I don't think this happens a lot with fathers and sons, but with mothers and daughters, a lot of times there be this competition, there be jealousy, and sometimes mothers actually hate on their daughters. And I never was able to wrap my mind around uh your mom actually hating on you and stuff like that, because I have friends and they'll be talking to me about the relationship that they have with their mom, and I'm like, or their dad or anything, but especially their mom, since we're talking about moms right now. And I used to be like, I couldn't imagine if my mama didn't love me the way that my mama loved me. I couldn't imagine that, I walk around thinking I'm pretty and my mama, hating on me and not encouraging me. Like, I couldn't imagine. I can't wrap my mind around having that type of dysfunctional relationship with my mom. And
Well,
so,
unfortunately, daughter, it happens. We are fortunate to have the relationship that we have, and most of my friends that their daughter mom relationship is 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 um is upright as well. But there are people, nothing ceases to amazes me. There are some women that still want to be young, and and they still want to live a life with their children. And so sometimes when you out dancing and partying with your child, things like that can happen. Another scenario this is me looking outward, okay? Uh, Another scenario I would think is maybe the child's, the woman's dad loves the daughter so
the
much, or
daughter,
give that
the
daughter so
dad,
much attention.
the daughter's dad, the
Yeah,
father of the child.
the father of the child give that child more attention than he do her, and could lead that woman to actually be jealous, of their own child or whatever, dislike their own child. But it's that's a touchy subject, and it's hard for me to relate and hard to speak on, because my God, I couldn't even imagine
Yeah, imagine.
my little baby bird. I want my baby birds to fly, So
Yeah,
I
so
couldn't imagine, but it does happen.
I actually thought too, like, I think that a lot of women, they have this disdain for their children because of the feeling that how they feel about the father. Like, if they don't like the father, a lot of times they won't like the children. And
Now
then
that's
two,
true.
I think that sometimes people have these issues when they've gotten pregnant under circumstances that they didn't want to really get pregnant under. I think they have those issues at that time as well. But I do think that is very unfortunate, because I don't know how someone could actually walk around, have this baby uh roasting inside of them,
That
and
they don't truly love.
they don't love it. It's like I'm not roasting, but baking. You bake the baby, have the baby baking inside of them, and they don't truly like.
Well,
They
daughter,
don't
when
feel
are
this
you gonna
type of
have a
connection.
baby? When are you gonna have a baby and give me a grandbaby?
Oh no, that's not. Now we got to go ahead and end the conversation. Yeah, we gonna go ahead and we ain't gonna even this you done that was the end of the show there. Thank you, cause no ma'am. I don't even want to ask you nothing else.
Maybe if you did that, then you can understand that situation.
No, you know what? It's been real. It's been one. I sure appreciate y'all for watching. If you on this feed right now, uh go ahead and like the video, share the video, head over to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any more of these lives. Um, Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Mama, thank you so much for
I
coming on
enjoyed
to
you,
the
baby.
show. I'm sorry to have to end it abruptly, but that was a show ender right there. That was a show
Enjoy
ender
your
right there.
day.
It's a looking at my role is about that time. Yes,
Yeah.
God. But thank you so much for joining me tonight, Mama, on the Desk of the Age. I love you so much, Mama Bear.
I love you too, daughter.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in with us tonight. We're about to tune out. Y'all have a good one.
I hope you black men were paying attention. I hope you black men were paying attention.